Speed was at the game alongside Thierry Henry and Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he refused to shake hands with a female sportscaster in an awkward moment.
Last night, President Trump held,
and everyone is, everyone has takes on it. Okay, here is wait, is this the Speed version? This is really funny. His reaction is so stupid.
Khabib, what's up, man?
How are you?
How you doing? We got Khabib.
How are you, sir?
Did you beat me in a fight?
Anyway, yeah, so he refuses to shake hands with the female sportscaster, and the reason why he does that is because he is a devout Muslim. Some of you might not have noticed this when I go to the pro-Palestinian rallies, right? Where sometimes some of the women at the pro-Palestinian rallies that are wearing a hijab will want to take photos with me, but when they take photos with me, they don't want to have physical contact. Okay? And while I personally don't have an issue with this at all, and I think it's, a little silly, okay? It's still something that you should respect. Okay? It's good to be considerate. I think that's, I don't know if he's like disrespectful to her in general, but the idea that, by the way, this is like not what do you call it? This is not like across the board for all Muslims. Okay, this is not like a thing that all Muslims believe, for the record. In that case, though, they were not trying to initiate contact with you here. She was just trying to do a greeting that everybody else was engaging in. No, I know. I understand that. This is not like a real thing, or this is not like a cultural practice or a religious practice across the board. Not to be a Reddit atheist, it comes across as extremely sexist. Like, how devout is this guy? Is he a virgin? Has he ever had alcohol before? No, yes. No, these are, no, they are. No, they are not. That's not, they are devout. They are, like, this would be akin to like a Orthodox Jewish person who is practicing across the board, like, and doesn't touch electronics on Saturday type shit. He's Dagestani and therefore kind of bigoted meathead. Remember when they look for Jewish people in the airport? I mean, yeah, there's that aspect of it for sure, but like, they are very, very devout for sure. This shit dumb because Ninja refused to even play games with women, and he just does that for the love of the game. Nobody cares about that. Yeah, I respect Ninja for that. Yeah, Haredi Jews do the same. I don't agree with it. I think I don't agree with the practice in and of itself, but it's not like he's saying like, why aren't you wearing a hijab in my presence? He's just saying like, out of respect for my cultural and religious practice, I don't initiate physical contact with women that isn't my wife. And I feel like if he was, I don't know, I feel like if he was a different religion and following a different religious practice, people would probably be a little bit more understanding of it. And I don't even think he was like trying to be rude.
Oh. How are you guys?
You okay?
Legends here.
How you doing? We got Khabib.
How are you, sir?
Nice to meet you.
Very nice.
Welcome to the show.
Like he acknowledges, he says, "Oh, well, hi," like instead of.
Apologize. Thank you so much.
How are you?
Look at Speed's face. Look at Speed's face when he doesn't shake her hand.
Welcome to the show. Apologize. Thank you so much.
How are you?
Khabib, the UFC fighter, it is a pleasure to have you. We didn't know you were here.
This guy, me,
Yeah, I
you.
was.
You're a big PSG fan.
Yes.
Always have been? Lifelong?
Honestly, since when I was a kid, I was Real Madrid fan.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not like he's like ignoring her. He's like talking. That specific aspect of the religious practice is silly. He was polite about it though. It's just a silly thing. Exactly. He's not like ignoring her. He's not saying like, no, I'm not going to talk to you or anything like that. He's basically saying like, oh, I don't establish physical contact with women that isn't my wife. That's it. Okay. I think people are making Republicans and conservatives are making a bigger deal out of it because it's Khabib doing it and because it's a Muslim man doing it. That's the other thing. Yeah. But if you are wondering, is he a real devout guy or is he just like simply misogynistic? No, he's a real about, dude. 100%. That's not like, that's not even remotely a joke. Now, having said that, it's not like this degree of enforcement. This degree of enforcement is certainly regional or certainly up to the individual. Overall, the reason why I brought this up and the reason why I'm talking about like how how bigger of a deal people are making about it is because I just don't like it can be treated as a unique trait, a unique cultural norm, but because it's Khabib, because he's Muslim, because it's Khabib, people obviously are going to make a bigger deal out of it. And before people say, wouldn't you make fun of Mike Pence for the same things? Yes, I would. 100%. And I do. 100%. Do you want to know why? Because he didn't grow up in a mountain, okay? Slapping rocks for the majority of his goddamn life. Michael Pence is a born-again Christian that grew up in Idaho, okay? Don't you think that there's a little bit of a difference there in terms of like what kind of religious practice that he is choosing to apply? You're talking about a dude who's like wrestled bears in his most formative years. And it's not like it's not like this is the only part of the religious practice that he keeps up with and everything else he just like goes crazy over. Like he's not like drinking alcohol or eating pork or gambling. Like these are all of the other things that he also doesn't follow through on. Yeah. Also, not exactly the best takes across the board for a guy who, spent most of his adult life getting his head slammed. Like you're making a comparison. You're like set your expectations set your expectations and standards to whoever you are actually watching. Do you see what I mean? Like whenever people come in here and they show me like another fighter that is like super pro Trump, I'm like, yeah, dude, their job is to get bludgeoned in the face. No wonder after a long career, they end up believing right-wing shit. Look at John Fetterman, okay? One stroke, and as a goddamn senator, look at where John Fetterman is. Do you understand? Like, yeah, I think I have a lot more leeway when it comes to people who are professionally getting their head brutalized. Khabib didn't get hit. He was the one dealing CTE. I mean, I'm sure throughout his training, he has had his head slammed. Like, what are you talking about? Or at least choked out in a way where it cut off air circulation. Do you see what I'm saying? Nobirbek Yakuboev, an Uzbek grandmaster, refused to shake hands with Vaishali Ramesh Babu, an Indian grandmaster, before their game. Yakuboev later explained that his decision was based on his religious beliefs, specifically that he does not touch women outside his family. But, of course, one of my favorite things that I see quite frequently is conservatives hating the conservatism of other countries, okay? Because you got Fox News up in here. And there's a different reason for why they're doing this, of course. It's because Khabib is also super pro-Palestine, as many of these Muslim fighters are, talking about how insanely disrespectful it is. Bro, you're Fox News. What do you mean? You celebrate when Mike Pence does it, but then when it's like some random dude that grew up on a goddamn mountain, you're like, oh, how dare he? Like, what do you mean? You hate the conservatism of other countries, and you act like their conservatism is barbaric. Meanwhile, you're trying to do this in this country. I don't think they defend Mike Pence anymore. Okay, I'm just saying, like, well, they defend Michael Penis, okay, Mike Johnson, and his ridiculous, like, porn app that he uses. Baba, ihtiyacımız var mı bir şeye? Okay. 2. Eyvallah. Yok. There's also a star-studded award-winning movie about how Fox News is a cesspit of sexual harassment. Yeah, exactly. Remember, it's not just the guys. Some Muslim girls don't want to shake hands with straight guys. It's a normal thing. Yeah, no, that's why I started off the conversation by talking about, like, how you might have noticed that when I go to like some of the pro-Palestinian rallies, there are some organizers who are wearing hijabs. And some of the hijabi organizers don't mind taking photos and establishing physical contact with me, but others don't. And I respect that. I don't just go, oh no, I'm going to hug you now. I'm going to dap you up. I will always go for a handshake. And sometimes they will say, oh no, not for me. And I respect it because I respect people's boundaries. I don't turn it into like I respect people's personal boundaries in the same exact way that I would respect someone who is saying like they have a sensory issue. You know what I mean? If they have some other reason as to why they don't want to do it, you know? That's it. That's just the way I operate. And I think that's the way that you guys should operate as well. It's just like, don't be weird. Anyway, nah, bro, that's not right. You would like to have respect then? What? Hasan headshots? I think my attitude or my acceptance of like whatever religious practice that you want to abide by begins and ends at the moment of legislation. Okay? That is my red line. Like if someone wants to not establish physical contact with members of the opposite sex or whatever, fine. I think it's strange, but you know, do you. But the moment that you're like, this is supposed to be the law, that's when I'm like, nope. No. Okay? Absolutely not. That, I think, is unacceptable. Giving people the freedom to choose is the correct thing to do. Just started watching the streamers and somehow stumbled among Asmongold streams. And to be honest, the last 2 days has been nothing but underlying ignorance and hate towards Muslims. On top of that, there were 50K people watching and agreeing to him. As a Palestinian, it was very surprising and concerning how ignorant most people are. Welcome to the United States of America. Sorry, this is how it is. Forced handshakes for Muslims is common Islamophobic practice in Europe. What? German citizenship denied for a refusal to shake woman's hand. The man aced the German naturalization test, but refused to shake hands with a female official, handing over his citizenship. Despite claims he will not shake hands with men either, his citizenship has been rejected. Nice. Someone is saying this is how it is in Denmark too. What? Where is the line? Some religions say homosexuality should be punished with death. Should we just respect their religious beliefs? At what point did I say that I said the exact opposite of this question that you're launching? I said the moment, not even death, the moment where you're like, oh, we should enforce this no contact rule by law, okay? Not even death for homosexuality, but enforce the no contact rule by law is the moment where I'm like, no. What the hell, chatter? If someone was like, oh, but well, in my family, we kill gay people, that would also still be unacceptable. Okay? That's still a hate crime and murder. What the are you talking about? By law means in government, that's a ridiculous standard that ignores all interpersonal religious harm. No, you do not understand what I'm stating here at all. And I think it is by design because you're being a Reddit atheist. Okay? Obviously, there are still harmful practices interpersonally that I still find to be unacceptable. What the are you talking about? Someone not shaking hands, like a woman. Okay, let's think about a Muslim woman who doesn't want to shake hands with any men that is not in their family. Okay, not in their family, not an immediate family member. Like what's the take that you're like, no, I can hug and kiss them if I want to? Like, what the fuck are you saying? How is that a comparison to anything else? Knight Templar. As long as it doesn't, as I said, as long as it doesn't actually override other people's bodily autonomy and other people's personal boundaries, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. Also ironic that you're talking about Islam, right? Like you're making this criticism against Islam when your name is Knight Templar. What the classic case of conservatives who hate the conservatism of other conservatives when they're brown. This guy's like Deus Vault memeing in the chat while also going, yeah, we want Christian Sharia. We don't want barbaric Muslim Sharia. Excuse me. Hello. It almost comes across as though they're like jealous. Like it feels like a lot of Christian right-wingers are just like jealous of the shine that Islam has. You know what I mean? Where they're like, how come they get to do it, but we can't do it because of lewokism, Islamagoshism? Like, Another example of this is like if people don't want to consume alcohol, yeah, great, don't do it. You know, I'm not gonna shove alcohol down your throat, right? But I don't think alcohol should be illegal. You know what I mean? Islamagoshism. Is all fundamentalism be for real, right? But that doesn't mean the whole religion is harmful. Use nuance and be normal. Facts, literally. Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentalism is completely unacceptable. But even beyond the way that people choose to abide by their own religious practices, the moment that it actually touches on another person's personal liberty is the moment where I'm out. That's my point. I hope people understand what I mean by this. Okay? Yeah. Don't you think denying yourself of something based on religion breeds resentment? What do you mean? You have been exposed by Liv Agar? Oh no. It's over for me. It's over. Please, Charlie Kirk has more in common with the cartoonish version of Islam he's invented in his mind than with contemporary Western philosophy and rights theory, which he hates. Exactly. When Charlie, by the way, everyone is hitting the Islamophobia takes. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Like, one of the greatest examples of our modern understanding, or the cartoonish and racist understanding of Islam in the Western world, one of the greatest examples of how silly that is and how much of that is actually motivated by the material conditions in which, like, at least the Muslim countries that we think of as the entirety of the Islamic world, specifically regions that have been dominated by Western imperialism, the greatest antidote to that kind of thought is looking at Muslims living in the Western world, with some notable exceptions, of course, of like some of the weirdos in England. But ultimately, American Muslims, and I've shown this before many times, and it breaks people's brains. Like, there are plenty of Pew Center studies that actually look at different demographics, different religious demographics, and their attitude on progressive issues. And one of my favorite brain-breaking studies that immediately destroys this argument is the attitudes that American Muslims have towards gay people. Did you know that American Muslims, by and large, have a much more tolerant approach to homosexuality than the white evangelical Protestant base does? Also, on top of that, who do you think is a more domineering force in American politics? Who has more outsized influence? American Muslims or the white evangelical Protestant base? Much to consider. So when Charlie Kirk talks about Islam not being compatible with the West, it's quite interesting because he derives a lot of his base of support from the white evangelical Protestants, who are more bigoted than the American Muslims are. Yeah, there's also this part of it as well. Western civilization being built on top of a mountain of skulls. Reddit atheists love to talk about fundamentalism like it's an exclusively religious thing, and then have almost the exact same incel-like beliefs about women, but in an atheist way. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. How Muslim Americans compare with other religious Americans, the intensity of religious identity, not unlike evangelicals. This is from 2007. There are, what do you call it? There have been numerous studies conducted since then, so I don't know what this study looks like. U.S. Muslims more accepting of homosexuality than white evangelicals. A recent survey by the Pew Research Center found a notable shift in the views of American Muslims when it comes to homosexuality. Like, think about it this way. Think about it this way, okay? Who is one of the wokest congresspersons that you know? Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is Somali ethnically. She is Muslim. She is a black woman who wears a hijab. She is also pro-trans. She's pro-gay. She's pro-trans. She is constantly yelled at for those positions. Compare the likes of Ilhan Omar, who is Muslim, to someone like Ted Cruz, who is Christian. Who do you think is more progressive? You're right about America, but isn't the whole true in Europe? No. Even in Europe, there are numerous reasons for why this integration does not take place. Or rather, people find themselves resentful of... Wait, hold on. What is this? Hold I'm getting some reporting. Just finished watching the latest Piers Morgan episode, and I think Piers is Hamas now, lol. Yeah, I doubt it. No religion is a monolith, okay? Christians are not a monolith either, which is why I specifically singled out white evangelical Protestants, partially because they are a very important base for the Republican Party with an outsized influence, okay? And partially, even then, there's obviously disagreements there as well. But the reason why it would be similar to comparing like a Salafist sect of Islam, okay? A Salafist sect of Islam that is bred in some part of the European continent is not going to have any motion within the legislative body whatsoever. I don't agree with it, and I think it's ridiculous fundamentalism. But you still have to recognize how much people like this get played in the media, and how much there's a hyper focus on people like this in the media, as opposed to just a bunch of secular people of the Muslim faith, like people who don't really care about abiding by the religious practice, or at least like trying to enforce their beliefs on others. A lot of Muslims in Europe vote for the left, not necessarily because of cultural progressivism, but because the left is only the only people who defend them. Take Mélenchon in France. LFI gets crazy margins from French Muslims. Yes, absolutely. And for the record, there are additional factors in terms of Islamophobia in Europe that are born out of how much Muslims are considered the ultimate enemy of Europe in the aftermath of the destabilization of the war on terror, the quote-unquote war on terror that has caused a lot of migration to take place into Europe, refugees to come into Europe, and European leaders that are right-wing using that as the reason as to why Europe is falling, rather than talking about the austerity measures that they're actually implementing that is lowering the quality of life in a lot of these European countries. Okay? It's the same principle behind how in the United States of America we talk about undocumented migrants. That is a much larger factor in American existence as opposed to migration patterns from the Middle East. Wait, they talking about Muslims while they make up less than 5% of most European countries is insane? Exactly.